Do firms react to ecological community pressure by investing more in innovation? And what role do preferences of firm owners play in this relationship? These are the research questions my colleague Yannick Bammens and I from Maastricht University in the Netherlands are investigating in this paper. To answer them, we look at the 2009 federal election results for the Green Party across regions in Germany. We find that firms in regions with green voting shares above the national average introduce significantly more product and process innovations with environmental benefits, such as reduced CO2 emissions or improved recyclability. Importantly though, this effect depends on whether firm owners can be easily identified by community members. If owner identifiability is high, for example because the firm is owned by a few private individuals, or owners are themselves part of the local community, then firms react much stronger to ecological institutional pressure.
The topic we are investigating is a timely one. Throughout the last couple of years, we saw a rise in pro-environmental attitudes voiced in the public debate. For example, according to a survey by the European Commission, 9 out of 10 EU citizens consider climate change to be a serious problem. And 4 out of 10 think that responsibility for tackling climate change lies with business and industry. This increasing public environmental concern was also reflected by voting behavior. In Germany, for example, the pro-environmental Green Party, Bündnis 90 Die Grünen, saw a notable uptick in the polls. Firms can respond to this kind of ecological institutional pressure in different ways. One important way is to introduce innovations that have environmental benefits in the production processes or product and service offerings of the firm, because they constitute a substantive, tailored response rather than merely a ceremonial one. This leads us to our baseline hypothesis that the prevalence of a strong ecological community logic will encourage higher levels of green innovation by firms in that community. According to traditional institutional theory, firms react to institutional pressure mainly to increase their legitimacy in the eyes of important stakeholders, which ultimately increases the firm's survival prospects. This constitutes an economic objective for firm owners. However, we propose that firm owners also derive non-economic utility from increasing the legitimacy of their firm, as reacting to ecological community pressure will likewise improve the personal reputation of firm owners within the community. For this mechanism to be effective, though, firm owners need to be personally identifiable by community members. Otherwise, the community will not be able to hold firm owners accountable for their actions. That is why we hypothesize that the response to ecological community pressure will be stronger if owner identifiability is high. To test our hypotheses, we use data from the Community Innovation Survey, an administrative survey of firm innovation activities administered by the European Commission. We obtain detailed ownership information from Kreditreform, Germany's largest credit rating agency. To measure pro-environmental attitudes of communities, we look at the election results for the Green Party in the 2009 federal elections in Germany. On this map you see the borders of the 299 electoral districts for which we have data. Electoral districts are assigned based on population density, such that districts are geographically smaller in larger cities such as Berlin and Hamburg compared to the more rural areas in East Germany. One worry, of course, is that there might potentially be reverse causality between firm and voting behavior, or other omitted variables that affect the relationship between the two. We address this endogeneity concern by instrumenting green voting with the share of young inhabitants between the age of 18 to 35 living in a region, which, given an extensive set of firm and regional level controls in our analysis, is plausibly exogenous to firm innovation behavior. To measure green innovations, we rely on a survey item from the Community Innovation Survey that asks firms whether they introduce product or process innovations with environmental benefits such as reduced energy consumption, water pollution, or lower noise emissions. This item is measured for the years 2012 to 2014, 3 years after the 2009 federal elections, which further mitigates the potential for simultaneity bias. Finally, we proxy ownership identifiability, whether firm owners can be easily identified by community members with 4 different measures: the concentration of individual ownership shares, whether firms are owned by a single family, whether the names of firm owners are reflected in the company name, such as the proverbial Schmidt GmbH, and whether the distance of owners' home addresses and the company address is on average less than 5 kilometers. We also combine these 4 measures to a single score based on a dimension reduction technique similar to a principal component analysis from the machine learning literature. The results we find support our theoretical arguments. First of all, we find support for the hypothesis that ecological community logic, as reflected by green voting shares above the national average, leads to higher green innovation activities by firms in the region. The respective coefficient here in column 1 is positive and significant. Furthermore, we also find support for our moderation hypothesis. The interactions of Green Party voting and ownership concentration, family ownership, as well as name-branded ownership, that means whether firm and owner names coincide, and the local embeddedness of owners, whether they live close to the company, are all positive and significant. We also find a strong positive interaction with the composite score of ownership identifiability. So to conclude, firms strategically respond to pro-environmental institutional pressure in their communities by investing more in green innovations. And this response is much stronger if firm owners are easily identifiable and therefore can derive personal reputation gains from their responses.
We believe that these results have important implications for institutional theory and the literature on green innovation. They also highlight the crucial role of owner identifiability and accountability for making firms susceptible to public sustainability concerns. Thank you for your attention, and in case you would like further information, my contact details will be displayed at the end of this video.